Assalamu alaikum. In today's session, we are going to discuss the influence of global warming on the climate change, its scope, mitigation, and how the people, the farmers, and the government and other stakeholders try to adapt accordingly towards the changes in the climate. So these are the several things we will be talking about in detail in today's session. So firstly, I'm going to refer to a certain report that has been prepared by IPCC, which stands for Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. So they have published a report in 2007, and they have identified in this report that overall in the whole of the world, we observe that there are certain drastic changes in the climate, and this is mainly because of the global warming, and they have identified a number of things that include that there would be larger and more severe heat waves, there could be droughts, there would be loads and loads of floods or storms and things like that are going to happen, and they are going to influence a large number of people living on in this world. And another thing that has been identified in this report is that most of the people who will be affected by this climate change due to the global warming are those who are located in the developing countries. So if we look at the overall details that have been identified in this report, they have distributed the world into 4 regions, and these regions include the sub-Saharan Africa, the Asian mega-deltas, the small islands, and the Arctic. These are the 4 major zones that are going to be influenced or affected severely due to this global warming, climatic change because of this global warming. And as long as sub-Saharan Africa is concerned, they have identified that the major idea behind this cause of climate change is due to extensive drying in this region, and because we discussed earlier that there could be low precipitation, and there could be like warm weather because of this global warming effect, and we see that because of this particular thing there would be like more and more of evaporation taking place, and as a result that there would be this drought kind of a situation in which farmers will find it hard, mainly those farmers which rely on the rain-fed sources of water for the irrigation purpose, and even if there are some sort of canals and riverines or something like that that are used as the for the irrigation purpose of the agricultural activities, like if there would be and on average there is a rise in the temperature of both air and the ocean in these areas in particular, we see that there is this, because of this extensive warming, the worst thing that is going to be affected, it would be the availability of water, and because of that naturally there would be less agricultural activities taking place in this region in particular. And we can also relate this influence of global warming with the shortage of food items as well. So we can see that because of this low agricultural output, there would be then, as a consequence of that, there would be less food available for the people living in that region of sub-Saharan Africa. Switching over to the next zone that has been identified in this report, we see that they have also talked about the second zone, which is composed of the Asian mega-deltas, and they say that because of this extensive evaporation and because of high temperature, lots and lots of water gets evaporated, and as a result there is more on average rainfall and other forms of water which we get, and that could be in the form of sleet, that could be in the form of hailstorms. So as a result, what happens that in these Asian mega deltas, we see that there would be a lot of flooding. This is what has been identified by the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change report, which they got published in 2007. And the third zone that has been identified in this report constitute of the small islands, and they say that there would be a number of different types of climate changes because of the major environmental sensitivities that can be there. The fourth zone which they have talked about in their report is the Arctic region. As long as the climate change is concerned in the Arctic region, we see that there would be, because of this increase in the overall temperature, there would be more ices that will be melting down, and they also can cause a large number of mass destructions or changes in the climate. So as long as the Arctic region is concerned, you may be knowing that Arctic region constitutes the Arctic Ocean, as well as it constitutes the upper part of Canada, Russia, United States, the Alaskan state. We take into account the Arctic region. Then we take Denmark, Norway, Sweden, Finland, and Iceland. So together, all these countries make up the Arctic region. So it has been identified in this study that there are going to be 75 to 250 million people who, all alone in Africa, they will be exposed to increase in the fluctuations in the climate, and mainly the number is so very large, and they are going to be affected because of the water stress due to the climate change. And they have projected some values that by 2020 things are going to be really hard for these people, and they will be living under a situation that has been identified and termed in this report as the water stress. So again, as I mentioned earlier, that if we look at the farmers living in the sub-Saharan Africa, the per capita income is already pretty low, and if this kind of a situation happens, that they find it hard to get sufficient water for drinking purpose and for the agricultural activities, then it would be really hard for them to come up with a sustainable level of living, and to come up with some sizable amount of agricultural output. So in addition to that, there are a number of other reports that amplify the same impact of climate change, and they also say that this is going to be really disastrous for a large number of people living in this world. And particularly they identify and they have estimated, and there are certain projections also which indicate that most of the bad consequences, the negative consequences of this global warming making the climate to change is going to fall on the people who are already poor, or they are living in the developing countries of the world. So again, we have discussed certain things that help us in understanding why it is always stated that because of the climate change that is happening and that is going to be having some negative consequences, are going to disturb the people who are living in the low income categories, and the people who are mainly situated in the developing countries of the world. They are going to bear the negative consequences at a higher rate. Is that they do not have sufficient money to cope with the changes in the environment and to cope with the changes in the things that are happening around them, and because it gets really hard for them to come out of those disastrous situations, or they do not have enough money to buy those different types of technologies that are developed over time that can help us in overcoming the disastrous situations or the negative externalities of the changes in the climate. So therefore we see that overall the poor people, or the people who are living in low income brackets, they suffer the most. And it has been projected that in future, by 2020, this brunt of climate change is going to be severe for these people in particular. So it is therefore identified that it is now the concern of the governments that they should look into these things, and they should help the people to come out of these disastrous kind of changes in the climate, and they need to educate them, and they need to tell them that these are the different types of techniques which they can go for, and they would in a way going to help them in becoming aware of the changes that are going to happen in future, and they can adapt themselves and their production techniques and their agricultural output techniques, whatever farming techniques they are using, so that they can cope with the changing environment that is going to be there because of the climate change. And that is basically, as we have discussed in the beginning, that it is mainly pushed in because of the global warming. So we also see that with the passage of time, we have identified that there are a number of different types of situations that are happening all across the globe, and we see that there are massive floods, and there are hurricanes, and there are big tsunamis coming in, and there are storms that are larger as compared to the magnitude and the disastrous impact of the hurricanes and the cyclones we used to have in the past. So all these things identify and confirm that actually we are going through a situation in which, because of this massive industrialization, deforestation, soil erosion, etc., there are a large number of things that are happening on this earth, and they are contributing severely in changing the overall climate of the world. Particularly, we see that since because of the lack of awareness, people go for the utilization of the natural resources without looking at the negative side, that whatever environmental externalities are going to be there as a consequence of whatever we are doing, and as a result what happens that they add to worsening the situation. And we can see that these kinds of things are happening all across the world around us, and we are witnessing these fluctuations and changes that have been taken place because of this global warming and climatic changes. So as long as the mitigation is concerned, we see that there have been certain policies that have been implemented, and they have been designed and they have been developed by both the government as well as the private sector. So we see that the mitigation can be there could be certain strategies and measures that can be taken up by the government, and at the same time we can also see that we observe that some techniques and some changes have been taken into account by the private sector also, in order to mitigate or slow down this negative impact of changes in the climate. So the government can in a way help us in order to mitigate or reduce the negative effect of climate change or the negative effect of global warming causing the climate change or expediting the climate change. So this is in a way, like there could be several things that can be done, and we have seen that in developed nations in particular, some such steps have been taken up. And if we look at the details of these steps that have been taken up and are being implemented in various parts of the world in order to mitigate the negative effects of the global warming, we see that they have put up certain caps on the greenhouse gases, and they say that this is the maximum amount of greenhouse gas which they can emit by a certain industrial unit can emit. So this helps in reducing the overall impact of the negative impact of these kinds of things that is going to harm the overall environment we are living in. And then in addition to that, they have also tried to implement this policy of putting or levying new types of taxes or heavy taxes on carbon emission. So if we are talking about an industrial setup in which various forms of carbon are emitted, so they have put up certain taxes, like the rate of the tax is pretty high, in order to reduce those kinds of industrial procedures or the magnitude of those kinds of industrial activities that contribute more in influencing in causing or in intensifying the extent of greenhouse gases emission in the environment. So in addition to that, we also see that governments have also come up with this idea that they have started giving subsidies to the development of those technologies that involve less emission of these carbon or the greenhouse gases. So that will also help us in controlling this problem to a greater extent. Similarly, in all the different parts of the world where these kinds of policies are not being implemented by the governments, they also can have a modified version, or they need to take into account these aspects also when they go for the policy making and their implementation, in order to curtail the negativities of the industrialization process and urbanization, etc., so that overall the greenhouse gases magnitude, or the net addition which we contribute on a yearly basis, that should be lowered over time, and that would certainly help us in improving the overall situation as far as the environmental conditions are concerned. And we also see that, particularly while being a part of the developing country, if these things keep on going the way they are and they stay unchecked as well, they will expedite this process of some disastrous changes in the climate, and that could be really severe, or that could be really difficult for us to come out of it. Or in order to fasten the development process, they also can play a negative role in retarding the overall pace of growth or pace of development in a developing country. So in addition to that, we also see that some measures can also be taken up by the private sector. So in order to mitigate, and they can be educated that this is how you can overall help us in maintaining the environment, or we can protect the environment, and we can reduce the extent of air and water pollution by taking these different types of measures. So it's both the government as well as the private sector that can contribute towards mitigating the negative impact of the greenhouse gases and the global warming on the changes in the climate. Next, the thing which I'm going to discuss with you is the different types of adaptations we have observed over time, as long as the negative consequences of environmental changes or the degradation is concerned. So इसमें हम देखते हैं कि हम जो adaptation को हम classify कर सकते हैं all across the globe. दो तरह की adaptation हम देखते हैं. One is the planned or the policy adaptation, and the other is the autonomous adaptation. So as long as the planned or policy adaptation is concerned, this is the adaptation which is mainly followed and designed, implemented, executed by the government. They foresee कि इस किस्म के changes आने जा रहे हैं environment में, and these are the factors that are going to harm the environment, and this is how we can overcome these harmful things, और हम negativities को reduce कर सकते हैं. So they come up with these kind of strategies जिसकी थ्रू आप environmental degradation को, या जो भी आप environment को जो ख़राब करने वाली factors हैं, उनको आप, उनकी impact को आप reduce कर सकते हैं. As I mentioned earlier, कि when we look at the overall global warming, and that has strongly influenced the overall climate to change all across the globe. So we see that this has resulted in overall increase in the temperature of air which is surrounding us, and as well as the ocean's temperature has also gone up. And because of this particular change, we see that there would be, in certain areas of the world, there are relatively, on average, the rainfall has gone up, and then there are landslidings, the frequency of these kinds of events such as the landsliding, etc., is also going up because of the increase in the warmth of the environment. So through policies, how the government can adapt accordingly towards by taking into account the changes that are taking place in society or in an economy at a certain time. What they do is they try to finance these kinds of research activities through which if you look at the agricultural sector, that type of agricultural techniques can be developed that can help the farmers to overcome these changes in the climate, or they can go for some hybrid varieties of seeds which can survive even if the rainfall is relatively higher as compared to what it was in the past. So these kinds of agricultural activities can be developed, or these kinds of agricultural techniques can be developed, so that can be modified, or they go for some modifications in the overall varieties of the agricultural products, fruits, vegetables, etc., that can survive even if the climate is not the same as it was earlier. So by adaptation का मतलब है कि जैसे environment में changes आ रहे हैं, आप अपनी agricultural products को इम्प्रूव करके, टेक्नोलॉजिकली इम्प्रूव करके इस तरह का बनाएं कि जो भी मौसम में के तब्दीलियां आ रही हैं, जो भी हालात में क्लाइमेट में तब्दीलियां आ रही हैं, वो उनके रेजिस्ट करें और वो ग्रो करें, और ताकि हमें हमारे जो फूड के बारे में प्रॉब्लम्स नहीं हो, वेजिटेबल एट्सेट्रा, जो भी हमारा कंजम्पशन पैटर्न है उसके अंदर हमें इश्यूज़ नहीं होने चाहिए कि वहाँ हमें फूड नहीं मिल रही है, या फूड शॉर्टेज हो गई है, या ड्राउट्स की वजह से कोई फैमाइन आ गई है, कुछ भी इस तरह से. तो दिस इज़ how the governments can go for various types of improvements in the production technologies of the agricultural products. Similarly, if we look at the industrial sector or the manufacturing sector, तो इस तरह के बहुत सारे techniques in the western world are being developed, जहाँ carbon emission कम से कम हो, जो कि environment friendly किस्म की production techniques हो, ताकि जो भी आपका जो chemical waste है या कुछ भी है उनको properly वो डंप करने के लिए उन्होंने पॉलिसीज बनाए हैं. सो दीज आर द वेरियस टाइप्स ऑफ अडेप्टेशंस व्हिच द गवर्नमेंट्स कैन गो फॉर, एंड दीज आर कैटेगराइज्ड एज द प्लान्ड अडेप्टेशन दैट दे कैन फोरसी या फोरकास्टिंग करके वो देख रहे हैं कि नेक्स्ट अगले 5 साल में या अगले 8 साल में, अगले 2 साल में हाउ द थिंग्स आर गोइंग टू वेरी एंड हाउ द क्लाइमेट इज गोइंग टू चेंज, एंड दे ट्राई टू इनकॉर्पोरेट दिस चेंज एनवायरनमेंट in the production techniques, in the agricultural outputs technique, in the manufacturing technique, so that the overall negative impact of the environmental changes should be the smallest. So आप जो भी आपके पॉलिसीज़ हैं, आप उनको इस पर्टिकुलर एस्पेक्ट को मद्देनज़र रख के बनाएंगे, तो आप अपने फार्मर को, अपने इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट को, मैन्युफैक्चरर को, लेबरर को आप साथ ही में एजुकेट कर रहे हैं, साथ में उनको टेक्नोलॉजीज़ दे रहे हैं इस तरह का, जिसकी मदद से वो जो नेगेटिव सिवैरिटी है जिसके साथ एनवायरनमेंट को हार्म पहुंचाया जा सकता है, यू कैन रिवर्स दैट इफेक्ट. सिमिलरली एज लॉन्ग एज द other side is concerned, अभी हमने जैसे बात किया that one way to adapt according to the environmental changes, the planned or the policy adaptation. The other one is the autonomous adaptation. We see that throughout the world, because of the changes in the climate, there are a number of different types of adaptations that have been taken place by the private sector on their own. So a large number of research studies have been conducted in order to find out that because of a certain change in the climate in a certain area, how the people living in that area have adapted themselves according to the changes, and how they are trying to overcome whatever thing has happened as long as the climate of that particular place is concerned. So one such research study has been conducted by 3 individuals. The name of these 3 researchers are Siri Erickson, Karen O'Brien, Lion Rosenstrater. So they have conducted this research in 2008, and they have identified that in most of the eastern and southern Africa, they have observed that there are indigenous techniques of adaptation that have taken place, and the farmers living in these areas have tried to come out of these problems that have been caused because of the change in the climate in those areas. So what they have done is that they have switched over from pure farming to like they have diverted from pure farming to having livestock also. So again we can see that farming जितना farming का जो output है वो कितना severely influence हो सकता है पानी के ना होने से मगर इसी को आप अगर आप मद्देनजर रखें साथ ही में कि हम लाइफ स्टॉक को भी अगर साथ ही में डेवलप करें हैं, या इफ़ माय इकोनॉमिक एक्टिविटी इंक्लूड्स लाइफ स्टॉक ऑल्सो, या मैंने कोई जानवर लेके उनको पालना शुरू कर दिया और उनकी ब्रीडिंग वगैरह स्टार्ट करके उसको इफ़ दैट हैज़ बिकम माय सोर्स ऑफ अर्निंग, सो वहाँ पानी की कमी जो है वो इतना ज़्यादा मुझे नेगेटिवली इन्फ्लुएंस नहीं करेगी जितना फार्मिंग के लिए मुझे पानी की कमी ज़्यादा नुकसान पहुंचाने जा रही है, बीइंग अ फार्मर. सो दे हैव आइडेंटिफाइड दैट द पीपल लिविंग इन द ईस्टर्न एंड द सदर्न अफ्रीका, वो पानी की कमी होने की वजह से, ओवरऑल वार्मथ के बढ़ने की वजह से, टेम्परेचर को राइज करने की वजह से, दे हैव ट्राइड टू ओवरकम दिस सिचुएशन बाय अडैप्टिंग देयर इकोनॉमिक एक्टिविटीज अकॉर्डिंग टू द circumstances. So they see that there is this indigenous adaptation that has taken place in different parts of these areas accordingly as the climate changes have been experienced. In addition to that, it has been also identified in this paper कि जो आपका livelihood के लिए उन्होंने they have tried to implement on the principle of diversification. So some other studies have also been conducted to find out the same things, that how due to the changes in the climate, how the people have adapted themselves accordingly अपने कोई भी रोजी रोटी के वास्ते या livelihood को earn करने के लिए. So they have like मैं कुछ research studies के results आपके साथ discuss share करने जा रही हूँ. For example, it was identified in Uganda कि जो fishers युगांडा में रहते हैं उन्होंने जो पहले सिर्फ फिशिंग करते थे, अभी बिकॉज ऑफ द चेंजेस इन द क्लाइमेट जो उनका जो कैच होता था पर डे वो ग्रेजुअली फॉल होना शुरू हो गया. तो इसकी वजह से उन्होंने दे ऑल्सो स्विच्ड ओवर टू रेज द लाइफ स्टॉक. दे स्टार्टेड कलेक्टिंग फायरवुड एंड देन सेल इट इन द लोकल मार्केट ताकि उनसे कुछ पैसे जनरेट करे जा सकें. प्लस दे स्टार्टेड टू गो फॉर ट्रेड. उन्होंने कुछ छोटे मोटे कारोबार करने शुरू कर दिए. और देर आर सम पीपल इन युगांडा जिन्होंने माइग्रेट करा, फिशरमैन ने जिन्होंने माइग्रेट करा, जो बीचेस के पास में रहते थे, कोस्ट लाइन के पास रहते थे, उन्होंने माइग्रेट करा फ्रॉम दोज एरियाज टूवर्ड सर्टन अदर एरियाज टू लुक फॉर सम बेटर livelihood. So these are the various types of changes that have been observed in Uganda. और इन सारों को हम autonomous adaptation के अंडर ले सकते हैं कि जब हमारे देखा हमने कि जैसे क्लाइमेट में चेंजेस आ रहे हैं वैसे वैसे लोगों ने अपने जो सोर्स ऑफ अर्निंग्स हैं उनको मॉडिफाई करना शुरू कर दिया है. Similarly, as long as Namibia and Botswana are concerned, वहाँ भी they have identified कि लोगों ने because of the frequent droughts का मतलब कि जब लॉन्ग स्पेल्स हों, बारिश नहीं हो रही, तो हम उसको बोलते हैं कि आपके पास फ्रीक्वेंटली ड्राउट्स आ रहे हैं. सो बिकॉज ऑफ द फ्रीक्वेंट ड्राउट्स इन दीज टू प्लेसेस, नमीबिया एंड बोत्सवाना, वहाँ का जो फार्मर था, दे फाउंड इट हार्ड टू गो फॉर द फार्मिंग. सो देयरफॉर दे स्विच्ड ओवर फ्रॉम फार्मिंग टू लाइफ स्टॉक हर्डिंग. सो दैट इज अगैन एज आई मेंशन्ड अर्लियर कि लाइफ स्टॉक के लिए आपको इतना ज़्यादा पानी की ज़रूरत नहीं होती जितना आपको पानी चाहिए होता है फार्मिंग के पर्पज़ के लिए. सो दे आर स्विच्ड ओवर एंड दे आर सर्वाइविंग इन अ बेटर वे. And they have adapted themselves and they have adapted their livelihoods also in order to cope with the change in the climate because of the global warming. So the next thing which I am going to quote is another investigation की result है जिसमें उन्होंने दिखाया कि आपका जो ecological diversification has taken place, and for that purpose the data which they have picked up was from Mozambique. और उन्होंने कहा कि जब मोज़म्बिक में ये देखा गया कि जब बहुत ज़्यादा बारिश हो जाती है तो जो फार्मर्स हैं वो थोड़े से हिली एरिया के ऊपर जो उनकी फार्म लैंड होती है वहाँ फार्मिंग करते हैं. हाउएवर जब बारिश कम हो तो ताकि ज़्यादा बारिश होने की वजह से उनके क्रॉप्स ख़राब नहीं हो तो वो थोड़े हिली एरिया पे ग्रो करते हैं अपने क्रॉप्स को ताकि जो एक्सेस वाटर है वो नीचे बह जाए. एंड इफ दे सी दैट दे आर एक्सपेक्टिंग दैट दे आर गोइंग टू बी लेस रेन्स इन दिस सीजन, तो फॉर दैट व्हाट दे डू इज वो जो लो लैंड के ऊपर उनके फार्म्स हैं वहाँ वो आके अपना एग्रीकल्चरल एक्टिविटी को परफॉर्म करते हैं. सो दिस इज़ हाउ दे अडैप्ट as per changes in the climate. So another study which I am going to quote here is by David Thomas and his colleagues, and this was published in 2007. And they have also come up with the different techniques through which they have observed that the people living in different areas in South Africa have adapted themselves and have adapted the production techniques according to the changes in the circumstances. So उन्होंने जो investigate करके हमें चीजें बताए हैं as the things that are being practiced in South Africa by the farmers in South Africa, they have identified that लोगों ने अपने farming के जो practices हैं जो कि पुराने ज़माने से वो लेके चलते चले आ रहे थे उसको उन्होंने बदला है. And what they do is that they are now producing and growing the drought resistant varieties of the various products. Most of the farmers have switched over from farming to livestock, and now they are growing, even if there are certain farms जो कि agricultural activities को perform करते हैं, they are growing less crops as compared to what they were producing earlier. Next is that because of this change in the climate के मैंने बोला कि अफ्रीका के अंदर सब-सहारन अफ्रीका में खास तौर पे there is this increase in the temperature. वहाँ persistent warmth जो है वो बढ़ रही है over time because of this greenhouse effect and the global warming thing. What they have done is they have started building the cattle shelters ताकि जो शदीद धूप से उनकी कैटल को बीमारियां या मर नहीं जाएं वो. और another important thing which we observe as long as adaptation in this area is concerned, that people have started doing small businesses और उसमें वो networking करके अपनी कोई ना कोई कारोबार शुरू करते हैं. And these small businesses which they have started include the cooperatives and the community horticultural projects. So they have started growing different types of flowers and different types of plants for the commercial purpose, and at the top of it they have also included themselves in they have started participating in the cooperative business also, so that they can make sufficient money, and that can help them in surviving as per the changes in the climate are there. So in this whole discussion we have identified certain things that as long as the global warming is concerned, we are observing that there is this gradual increase in the increase in the temperature of both air and as well as the ocean, and that is causing a number of different types of climatic changes all across the globe. And as per IPCC report in 2007 is concerned, they have distributed the world into 4 different zones, and they have identified that there are different types of trends that are taking place, or there are different types of changes that are taking place in each of these 4 regions, the Arctic region, and then they have come up with the changes in they have discussed the changes that are taking place in Asia, in sub-Saharan Africa, etc. So, and then we have discussed that how the impact of this climate change can be mitigated. So we discussed that together by taking different steps, the governments can help in mitigating the negativities of the environmental degradation or the negative changes in the climate change, climatic overall climate of a place. And at the same time there could be this private sector that can also contribute in playing a significant role in reducing the negativities of the changes in the climate. And then in the end we discussed that as long as the adaptations are concerned, again we see that there are several autonomous adaptations, and then there are this policy adaptation. The policy adaptation is mainly carried out by the government by coming up with different types of hybrid seeds and different types of production techniques, etc., or they can levy some sort of taxes on the carbon emission, etc. जो भी चीज़ें harmful हैं environment को ख़राब करने के लिए, harmfully contribute करी हैं environment के लिए, जो कि environment की degradation में contribute करे हैं, उनके ऊपर taxes लगाए जा सकते हैं, उनके emission को reduce करने के वास्ते इस तरह के technological changes को लेके आया जा सकता है. And then we discussed by taking the examples of various research studies कि how in different parts of the world people have tried to adapt their production techniques, their agricultural techniques, their farming techniques, their money generating techniques in order to cope with the changes in the climate. So this was overall the impact of global warming on climate change and what is the scope of the problem, how mitigation can be done, and what are the different techniques through which the adaptation is taking place. I am going to discuss the economic models of environmental issues. So we are going to take into account that how different economists have developed different types of models in order to explain that what type of inefficiencies are there that can creep in an economy if we do not take into account the externalities, the environmental externalities when we take the rational decision making. So as long as these different models are concerned, I'm going to discuss them one by one with you. Sabse pehle, we need to go for some assumptions, and the first thing which we need to assume is that we are going to talk about that the resources are privately owned. We have assumed this. I'm going to explain the first model to you, and the first assumption we are going to make is that the resources are privately owned. The next assumption we are going to make is that whatever inefficiencies we observe are there in an economy, that is because of the imperfections in the property rights. So firstly, we assume that all the different types of resources are owned by the private sector. The public sector is not there. We are going to bring in the public sector later on. And the other thing we are going to assume, as long as the model which I am going to discuss with you right now, is that there can be inefficiencies, and those inefficiencies can only be because of the imperfections in the property rights. So as long as the perfect property rights are concerned, we say that as per this model goes, there are 4 conditions that need to be satisfied. The first one is the universality, the second one is the exclusivity or excludability, and the third one is the transferability, and the fourth one is enforceability. So as long as the universality is concerned, we say that if we are talking about a certain natural resource, we are universally accepting it that it is owned by a certain private owner, and this is something that we need to make clear. And this is something which is obvious, and it is universally accepted as well. So another important thing which we include in this discussion is the principle of exclusivity, that if the owner of a certain natural resource wants to exclude others from the usage of his natural resource, the natural resource which he possesses or which he owns. So this is something which he can go for. And in order to explain this assumption, I would like to take the example of a street light, for example. हम एक street light की बात करते हैं, वो एक resource है और वो एक public owned रिसोर्स है, वो प्राइवेट ओन्ड रिसोर्स नहीं है. सो उस वहाँ एक्सक्लूसिविटी का कॉन्सेप्ट अप्लाई नहीं हो सकता है, बिकॉज आपको स्ट्रीट लाइट को सड़क के ऊपर या गली में लगाना है, और जो लोग वहाँ से गुजरेंगे वो सब के सब उससे बेनिफिट लेने जा रहे हैं, और कोई एक आदमी उसको क्लेम नहीं कर सकता कि ये मेरा है और बाकी लोगों को उसके बेनिफिट से एक्सक्लूड नहीं किया जा सकता. बट एज लॉन्ग एज वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट अ रिसोर्स जो कि possessed and owned है by a private individual, he has the right to exclude कि वो उसके benefits से exclude कर सकता है बाकी लोगों को. So this is what we mean by the principle of exclusivity or excludability. So you can, being the owner of a certain resource, you can exclude others from taking the benefit of the resource which you own. The next one is transferability. By transferability, I mean that the resource can be transferred from one person to another, like it can be bought and handed over and passed on to some other individual. And the next one is enforceability, that rules and regulations are going to be there. They can be enforced on that particular resource. The first model, which I'm going to explain the model using the diagram which you are seeing right now. This is basically a static efficiency in resource allocation model, and in this model we are taking the units of resource along the x-axis and the marginal benefit and cost along the vertical axis. So we see that there is this negatively sloping demand curve curve, and because the resource is scarce, therefore we see this marginal cost curve sloping upwards. This is also the supply curve, मगर marginal cost is sloping positively and upwards का मतलब है कि resource के scarce होने की वजह से जितना आप उसकी quantity को increase करते चले जाते हैं, that adds to your cost. वो आपकी कॉस्ट में इंक्रीमेंट आती चली जाएगी, एंड देयरफॉर जो आपने उसकी सप्लाई कर्व बनाई है वो पॉजिटिव है कि आप हायर अमाउंट ऑफ रिसोर्स को सप्लाई तब करते हैं व्हेन यू आर गेटिंग हायर प्राइस for that. So therefore we see that the marginal cost curve or the supply curve is positively sloping, the demand is negatively sloping. The two curves or the two lines are intersecting each other at the point B, where we see that the net benefit becomes equivalent to the net cost. आपकी जो net benefit है resource से जो आपको मिल रही है वो net cost दोनों बराबर हो जाते हैं, और therefore we call B point as the point of equilibrium. So on the left hand side of point B आपको shaded area देखने को मिलेगा. तो अगर आप इसको दो triangles के form में समझें, the first triangle is DPB and the next triangle is PBA. So as long as DPB is concerned, this is the consumer surplus. Consumer surplus का मतलब है कि ये वो सारा amount of money है which the consumer was willing to pay for the given quantities of the resource which he is demanding. So अगर because अगर आपका जो equilibrium price establish हुआ है corresponding to the point of intersection point B के ऊपर अगर हम देखें कि price जो आपकी डिटर्मिन हुआ है बिकॉज ऑफ द इंटरसेक्शन ऑफ डिमांड एंड सप्लाई, जहां मैंने भी आपको बोला था कि नेट बेनिफिट नेट कॉस्ट के बराबर हो जाता है, उसके कॉरस्पॉन्डिंग जो हमारे पास प्राइस लेवल है दैट इज गिवन बाय पी. सो इफ दैट प्राइस प्रिवेल्स देन द ट्रायंगल डी पी बी इज द कंज्यूमर सरप्लस. यानी कि यहाँ वो सारे का सारा पैसा को आप अकाउंट फॉर कर सकते हो जो कि कंज्यूमर विलिंग था to give for the resource if the quantity of the resource is smaller than Q steric. जैसे जीरो से आप रिसोर्स की क्वांटिटी को बढ़ाते हैं तो the consumer is willing to pay a higher price which is pretty higher, much higher than capital P price level. So जैसे जैसे आपकी जो क्वांटिटी आप लेते जाते हैं ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा आपका जो प्राइस जो आप विलिंग है पे करने के लिए वो कम होता चला जा रहा है. एंड एज अ रिजल्ट if the equilibrium price prevailing in the market is capital P, then all those prices which you were willing earlier to pay for this resource के lower quantities के ऊपर, this whole thing is given by the area DPB is therefore your consumer, is the consumer surplus. So similarly if you look down below the equilibrium price level, वहाँ आपको जो triangle मिल रही है PAB वो आपको बता रही है supplier surplus, which is going to be the benefit which earned or enjoyed by the supplier because वो लो प्राइस के ऊपर भी आपको जीरो के फौरन बाद वाली क्वांटिटी को सप्लाई करने के लिए रेडी था, बट बिकॉज द मार्केट में इक्विलिब्रियम प्राइस डिटरमिन हुआ है दैट इज कैपिटल पी, एंड देयरफॉर व्हाटएवर मनी he is having as a surplus is therefore clubbed together, shaded in blue and declared as producers or the suppliers surplus. So अगर हम दोनों को add कर दें यानी कि first triangle को जो कि consumer surplus है DPB और जो दूसरी ट्रायंगल है विच इज PAB, तो इन दोनों को क्लब करके हमें जो ब्लू शेडेड बड़ी सी ट्रायंगल देखने को मिल रही है दैट इज अ टोटल बेनिफिट which both the consumers and the suppliers will be enjoying. अगर जो भी रिसोर्स की हम बात कर रहे हैं एलोकेशन की, वो कंज्यूमर रिसोर्सेज को बाय कर रहे हैं एट अ प्राइस P and the total resource which is being used in this economy is given by Q steric. So this is how the equilibrium can be established and explained by considering the static efficiency in resource allocation. So the resource has been allocated and there is some amount of money which is being enjoyed by the consumers in the form of consumer surplus. There is going to be some sort of benefit which is going to be enjoyed by the producers in the form of producer surplus. So आपका जो total benefit मिलने जा रहा है वो आपको ये पूरी की पूरी triangle DAB से ये पूरा जो दो triangles को मिला के आपने बनाया, that is going to be the total benefit which will be enjoyed by both the consumers as well as the suppliers if the allocation is done in this way. Now, we see that in the real world, when we look at the allocation of the resources, we see that there are several imperfections. So, as long as allocational efficiency is concerned, what people do is, जो seller है या supplier है of the natural resource या owner of the natural resource, will always try to equate the present value of marginal net benefits of last unit consumed in each period. So हर जो time period में उसको जो भी benefit मिल रही है by selling the resource which is being owned by a certain private individual, उसका वो हमेशा next unit को बेचने से जो उसको पैसे मिलेंगे, पुराने unit को जो पहले उसने units बेचे हैं उसमें से जो उसको पैसे मिल रहे हैं, वो हमेशा दोनों की जो present value है वो उसको equate करता है. So अगर ऐसा हो तो we say that there is allocational efficiency in the allocation of the resources that is taking place in an economy. So इसलिए जब कंज्यूमर को ये पता कि अगर वो पहले खरीद लेगा तो वो जो अमाउंट उसको देने पड़ेगा रिसोर्स को बाय करने के वास्ते वो, और जो अगर इफ सम अमाउंट ऑफ द रिसोर्सेज परचेज लेटर, तो दोनों का जो पेमेंट का प्रेजेंट वैल्यू है दैट इज गोइंग टू बी द सेम. इसलिए वो इंडिफरेंट होता है कि वो रिसोर्स को पहले से खरीद के रख ले या ग्रेजुअली यूनिट्स ऑफ रिसोर्स को खरीदने जा रहा है. सो इफ दिस इज द केस देन वी से दैट एलोकेशनल एफिशिएंसी इज बीइंग ऑब्जर्व्ड, बट इन फैक्ट व्हाट वी सी इज हाउ इट टेक्स प्लेस इन द एक्चुअल वर्ल्ड. आई एम गोइंग टू डिस्कस विद यू अनदर डायग्राम which explains the optimal resource allocation over time. So अगर इसमें हम जो concept discuss करने जा रहे हैं that is scarcity rent. So I'm going to discuss with you this diagram which you are seeing right now on the screen. यहाँ पे हमने quantity को लिया है along x-axis, price has been taken along the vertical axis, फिर आपको एक negatively sloping demand curve मिल रहा है जो कि बता रहा है कि consumer is willing for low amount of the resource, the consumer is willing to pay a higher price, and gradually as he keeps on demanding a higher quantity या more and more of the same, तो price जो है वो decline करना शुरू कर देता है जो कि वो willing है pay करने के वास्ते. So as a result we get a negatively sloping demand curve. In addition to that, we also observe that there is this horizontal straight line marginal cost curve, जो कि यहाँ assumption को बता रही है कि हम assume कर रहे हैं by drawing the horizontal straight line marginal cost curve or the supply curve, we are assuming that in order to supply additional units of output, the same level of cost is being incurred, जिसकी वजह से marginal cost जो है वो आपकी एक horizontal straight line है. So if you look at the point of intersection between the negatively sloping demand curve and the horizontal straight line supply curve, आपको point of intersection मिलता है corresponding to the quantity 75 and the price which we see along the vertical axis corresponding to this 75 quantity is capital P. So I'm going to discuss this point later, but before that I'm going to discuss the scarcity rent with you. So suppose जो supplier है उसके पास, let's suppose by looking at this demand and supply interaction, the supplier has come to know that if he supplies outrightly 75 units in the market of the natural resource which he possesses, then the price which he is going to get for those 75 units will be capital P. And he says that what if he rations, कितना अच्छा हो उसके लिए प्रॉफिटेबल है ये कि अगर वो इस नेचुरल रिसोर्स की क्वांटिटी को राशन कर दे कि वो 50 यूनिट को अभी मार्केट में बेच दे और बाकी के जो 25 यूनिट्स हैं उनको वो लेटर ऑन बेचे. तो एज अ रिजल्ट व्हाट हैपेंस दैट if he rations the same 50 units को वो अभी बेचने जा रहा है, 25 units को वो बाद में बेचने जा रहा है. So if that is the thing, then the consumer is willing to pay PS price for 50 units, as can be seen here in this diagram by looking at the figure. अगर आप PS के corresponding देखेंगे price के, तो consumer कहता है कि आप मुझे 50 units दें तो फिर मैं आपको PS price दूंगा उसके वास्ते per unit price. So इसका मतलब कि if he rations, if the seller rations the quantity of the natural resource, then he will be able to charge a higher level of price which can be seen here. और अगर हम PS और P का डिफरेंस निकालें और द एरिया विच इज़ लेबल्ड इन ब्लू को आप देख सकते हैं, इसको लेबलिंग किया गया है बट शेडेड इन ब्लू है, लेबल किया गया है PSPBA वाली एक बड़ी सी आपको रेक्टेंगल मिल रही है. दिस इज़ द मनी विच ही कैन गेट by charging a higher price. The supplier will be able to get by charging a higher price, and this can only be done by rationing the amount of the natural resource which he has decided to sell. So if he rations the thing, तो अभी उसको ये जो blue rectangle area में जो उसको profit मिलने जा रही है, that is defined as the scarcity rent, कि उसने scarcity को create करा है और इस scarcity को create करने की वजह से he was able to generate a relatively higher amount of money, जो कि PSPAB वाले पूरे के पूरे रेक्टेंगल से हमें रिप्रेजेंट की गई है इस डायग्राम में. सो this kind of efficiency can be achieved if the scarcity rent is charged on the consumers, and this is how we can see that the overall efficiency can be enhanced and people can earn more money by nicely allocating the resources which they possess. However, अगर वो ration नहीं करे तो उसको फिर कैपिटल P प्राइस के ऊपर 75 यूनिट्स को बेचना पड़ेगा, और हम देखते हैं कि ऐसे के सिचुएशन में स्कैसिटी रेंट विल नॉट बी अर्न्ड बाय द प्रोड्यूसर और बाय द सप्लायर ऑफ दैट नेचुरल रिसोर्स, एंड ही विल बी एबल टू जनरेट लो मनी, लेस मनी एज कम्पेयर टू व्हाट ही कैन डू अगर वो स्कैसिटी रेंट को भी चार्ज करता है. सो दिस इज हाउ वी कैन सी दैट व्हेन वी see the allocation of the resource by manipulating, by trying different types of options which the private owner of the natural resource has, they can generate relatively more money, and this will increase the efficiency or the productivity of the overall natural resources that are situated in a country. मगर अगर यहीं हम अगर assume करें कि यहाँ perfect competition है, ढेर सारा competition होने की वजह से या गवर्नमेंट ने सेट कर दिया प्राइस कैपिटल P के ऊपर, तो हमें देखने को मिलता है कि यहाँ जो प्रॉफिट है दैट विल नॉट बी मैक्सिमाइज्ड. कैपिटल P प्राइस के ऊपर 75 यूनिट्स ऑफ द नेचुरल रिसोर्सेज विल बी सोल्ड आउट, एंड देयर वोंट बी एनी इंसेंटिव ऑफ competitiveness or things like that, or making extra money या कुछ भी इस तरह से. तो आपकी जो पर कैपिटा इनकम है वो इन्फ्लुएंस होती है इन द केस ऑफ अनऑप्टिमल या नॉन ऑप्टिमल resource allocation that takes place in a certain economy. So we see that these kinds of inefficiencies are mostly observed in the developing countries where government intervenes. It sets up a very low price, or sometimes price setup ही नहीं होती है, free of the charge public good के तौर पे natural resources जो हैं वो लोगों को मिल रहे होते हैं. तो ऐसे के situation में inefficiencies creep in the allocation of the resources, and that cause the overall per capita income to go down, and the people manage to earn less comparatively what they can do otherwise, as can be seen by this diagram and the discussion which we just had. So there are several models that explain various aspects of the environmental externalities. We have so far discussed two situations in which how the resources can be allocated and how a scarcity rent can be charged in order to bring in efficiencies in the allocation of the natural resources are discussed. Thank you.